Zombie, feminine. We doing Florida pie.
I'm gonna let it ride for a minute. Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Transparent Conversations, Elevated Exchanges. I'm also on Substack under Transparent Conversations. So basically, this is my space to talk about how I feel about what's going on in the country, my life, the world. And right now, we've been talking about politics. My name is Calvin, or CPJR if you know me, or CPJR 300 if you feel me. And yeah, I'm back. I was just in the pod like 2 days ago. I forgot what I was talking about 2 days ago. Yeah. So yeah, I just did the pod 2 days ago, and I was talking about all the nonsense. Yeah, that held that over a little bit too long, and I was talking about just all the nonsense and the distractions that we see every day, and I call this the frame, and so that led me into thinking about, I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about something else so soon. I did write another essay. It's on my Substack, Transparent Conversations. It's called The Grift of the Century. And I'm going to talk about what I see as the thing that we aren't really focusing on, but we are focusing on it. But I think we're focusing on it for the wrong reason. So if you watch this podcast and you kind of want to share it, you want to grow a community, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like button. I'm missing something. Go ahead and hit the like button, the share. What happened? Okay. Wow. So go ahead and hit the like button, the share, and the I don't know what happens. Anyway, yeah, go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe button if you can. Or if you know what happened? I think I just deleted it. Okay, yeah. I think I did. I was doing some cleanup on my computer, and I think I deleted the graphic I wanted. Hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons if you please, if you want to, and please share with a friend. So let's start a conversation. Last week I was talking about the distraction and nonsense, what we're seeing coming out of the regime of doom. We see now, this whole Epstein thing is blowing up. We had a racist. Let's see what happened this week. They had a racist. They tried to get into the Department of State, an openly white supremacist. That Schiff, the Representative Schiff, got his first name, totally got rid of. I mean, it was quite embarrassing. He was trying to say that the white race is being erased, and when questioned on that, he turned to ethnicity, like Irish and Italian and German. So it wasn't about, in his mind, it wasn't about race. I don't really understand the whole thing about why they want to be, why they feel like they want to be oppressed when they actually control pretty much everything in this country. So I think that, I don't know, maybe the tide's changing. It's still going to be a fight because this fight, like I said, for me, this fight's never really been about race, or it's not about race at all. Race, that's what they tell us should be the problem, but that's not the problem. The problem actually is class. It's actually if you're paying attention to the Epstein thing, it's more than just about pedophilia and sexual trafficking. Those are big, major parts of it, but there's also some elements of just that class of people. They call it the Epstein class now. That class of people getting involved in some social engineering, right? And wanting to promote tribalism. They all have big platforms. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. These people have millions and millions of followers on their own platforms. Jeff Bezos, they always buy platforms. Jeff Bezos bought Washington Post, which he gutted. The other guy, Musk, bought Twitter off a joke, and he bought Twitter, which he's destroying. He bought Twitter at a very, very bad deal. So that may be really affecting his companies because he has to finance. He didn't pay cash. He financed a lot of it. He didn't have the cash to pay for it, billions. And that deal was crazy back then. He tried to get out of it, but he couldn't. Had to go through with it. Now he's stuck with that. And basically, it's filth. I wouldn't trust myself or trust anything on that platform. And I really want people to understand, you should not be on TikTok anymore. TikTok is definitely scraping data and sending it to like Palantir. So I would just get off that. They're actually, if you keep up with this stuff, really should, because these things have ties to Homeland Security in other countries. Israel, I don't know, the ties between our country and Israel is very opaque. It's not clear as to why they get so much support from this country. Well, I know AIPAC. But why we have it's like a blind spot. Like anything they do or say that we have to support. I think I've talked about that before. We're talking about the nonsense, but a lot of this stuff that we're seeing now because of the Epstein files being released is real. I mean, it's crazy to see the ties of all the people in the cabinet have ties to it. Who knew what when was going on, and even if you weren't involved in the actual sex trafficking, you knew about it, and you still chose to be in that world. So there's a lot going on, and the world was, like I said, it wasn't just about the sex and sex trafficking and I'm not gonna say the rape and all that kind of stuff. It was actually some deals being made and some social engineering going on, that because they have these large platforms and people for some reason equate money with brilliance or money with benevolence or something like that. They automatically yield to people who they think are rich. That doesn't work. It doesn't work because they see it's a class warfare. They want to make it a tribal warfare when, we are tribal as, tribal beings, but that doesn't mean we can overcome those natural instincts and do better for ourselves. We do better for our kids, because basically right now, this country is being dragged down a hole by this crew, and I'm constantly thinking about why, like what's the goal? I think a lot of people, they sold us, or a lot of people think the goal is to ever be in charge. It's to be always like Trump wants to run for another term. He's going to be dead. He's not going to run for. Why would you want billions of dollars and then be stuck at the White House? I don't think that's the goal. I think the goal is the grift, to get as much money as possible and stay out of jail. I mean, that's basically what he has going on, because he has criminal tendencies. So it's like that's what the goal is. So, but then he also will play into the whole thing about he wants to be an authoritarian. He wants to take over the country, take over the voting. Okay, the play for the voting, the midterms. Play for the midterms is the SAVE Act, right? It passed the House. But it's passed the House, and it also needs to pass the Senate. Hopefully, the Senate can block it. They need the Democrats to do that, but they're already talking about getting rid of the filibuster. We'll see. They don't want to get rid of that because it helps them not pass some things, especially if it comes to losing power on the legislative branch after the midterms, right? So that's the play for the midterms. I don't know, but I don't kind of believe they're going to use violence. You know what I mean? Because violence is a two-way street. There's more of us than them. I don't know. Ask Hitler how that went last time. So I know we're soft, though. We're very soft. And I don't know if we're ready to go down to the mat, but if we have to, we have to. That's all it is, too. I'm not going to live in a fascist state myself in peace. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how that works. And I would have never chose this, and that is the problem that we're having. It seems like a lot of people are slowly waking up. because the promises that were made, no promises are being kept. They're lying about the inflation now. They're lying about the tariffs. They're lying about the jobs. They're lying about the economy in all ways. And they seem to be talking in a way that that everyone's supposed to believe. And that I think a major problem that we have in this country is Fox News. We can't, it's also more of them now. It's Fox News, Newsmax, now it's CBS. These things, these companies, or these mainstream corporate media, how they frame the story. The story is framed in a way that doesn't make any sense. But one thing I know about them too, and that's why I'm kind of upset at the regular other mainstream media, which is what CNN and MS Now, that they don't seem to actually frame things correctly. Like if I was doing the programming, I probably would dedicate a show to debunking everything that Fox says, like a segment to just debunking. And the show they have right now on CNN, and I don't know, it's one on CNN, I think, where they have like the conservatives and they have the conservatives and the liberals, progressives on the same show. They're like on a round table and they're arguing about things. I'm not arguing with nobody who doesn't believe in reality. That's like something that doesn't, I don't understand that show at all. I don't. And then when they post, I guess the only time I don't watch mainstream media. I watch only, this is what this is going to be about. I will only watch independent media, like from YouTube or Substack, independent journalists, people that used to write like for the Washington Post, the Times, and other things. And they worked in administration. They decided that they wanted to start their own independent channels, and they have the means to do it on YouTube to a certain level that's pretty high quality. And they do research, and they've been in the game, but you could actually trust it, trust what they're saying. And they also do debunk, what Fox News says, but Fox News has a hold on people, because the one thing I've noticed about what's happening right now is the grift, the money, the amount of money that is going to the DHS or ICE, and not only ICE, the ICE contractors, the people who are actually own the detention centers, because those are for profit. A lot of those are for profit centers. They're also talking about an airline. The amount of money that they're talking about is out of this world, right? 190. I wrote on this on my Substack. $190 billion was appropriated for that, and then automatically, because the way they spin it, they automatically talk about the numbers of officers. Like they're going to have the largest paramilitary force in the country. A lot of that money is for actually housing, detention, and that's going to the for-profit companies. So if you have a for-profit company or content, and those, I'm going to put up a video on one. Sorry, I'm going to put up a graphic right now. So if you have a for-profit company, and these are the two, it's GEO Group and Core Civic. And I wrote this thing this morning, and I decided just to do a quick Google search for something, and this is what came up. Right? Came up. I was posted to Twitter. I don't have a Twitter account. I just saw this was posted, so I don't know. But this came from what's it called? A call, right? Earnings call. They're basically complaining to ICE. Core Civic and Geo Group are complaining to ICE because they do not have enough detainees. They need more detainees to be profitable, right? So I did some more research, and I've lost my calculator. I did some more research, right? And it's from what they're charging. It's like $187 per head per day, right? And this right here, the bottom graphic I'm showing, the bottom graphic over here, down there, straight down, and this one's over there. Okay, so this one down here, that shows a detention center with women. This is how they're living, right? They're charging $187 per day per head. That's why they want to get people in. So if they're complaining, if the two companies, the two for-profit companies are, what do they say? I'm read out specifically what it says. In an earnings calls earlier today, investors in Geo Group and Core Civic criticized ICE. Their chief complaint: ICE's detained population, despite hitting record highs, still isn't large enough. Right? And they have a link to say more. Look it up for yourself. Because these are for-profit companies. These are for-profit companies, publicly traded. So this information has to be out there and available to the public. They aren't hiding it, right? So you have people living in conditions like you see right there on the screen, and they're charging $187. Also, I had a picture of a detention center down in Georgia in the essay that showed the actual detention, not the outside of it, but then they were saying that the people are the detainees are forced to clean these facilities for $1 a day. So now let's talk about the detention. So these people are being detained. If you come into the country illegally, it's a civil violation. It's not a felony. It's a civil violation. If you come back again, it's a felony at that point. But some of these people are, remember, these are documented and undocumented people, right? So they're getting detained for months at a time for what? Because the old process or the whole procedure was to let people go while if they're seeking, let's say, asylum or something like that, and they're going to court, they're seeking asylum, they're released to go out and make money and pay taxes. Now they're a burden on us, the taxpayer. Now, what did I say? $187 a day. And they got approximately 70 to 75,000 people in detention right now. Those people are in detention right now. And how much is that? So it's like 70,000 times what? 187? That's like $13 million a day. And they want to increase that. So that $190 billion wasn't being spent, but now it's being spent. Now, this little earnings call deal, why do they need more people now? This coming, right? All the detention centers are crowded. They haven't brought any new ones. The big ones they want to build, they're trying to buy like Amazon warehouses. They spent $500 million on that, and they're having problems because local jurisdictions, especially here in Howard, I think they did approve the one in Howard County. I'm in Maryland. They did approve that one, and somebody contacted me yesterday to sign a petition to keep that out of there. But $500 million on warehouses that aren't. Now you see how these people are looking, how they look. This is men's facilities, women's. This is a men's. This is a women's facility, and look, this is how they live. They're not allowed out of their room. So if you build a factory, let's say an Amazon warehouse, they don't have the bathrooms for this. They don't have the cooking facility, the kitchens for this. They don't have the ventilation, the air circulation for this. They don't have the medical facilities. These people are being detained indefinitely on a civil charge, right? So why is that a better system? Because they've already come out this year. They've deported less people than were being deported under Biden. So this isn't about immigration. This is a grift. This is to get that $190 billion. That $190, and they already asked for what, $4 billion more? That's why the government is shut down right now. They needed $4 billion more on top of the $190. What happened to the $190? Why do you need $4 more billion dollars? Right? They cut healthcare subsidies because they were helping people out with the ACA. But they cut those subsidies because they could ram it through. People don't pay attention to how Republicans have been ripping them off. They pushed that through. Couldn't we use some of that money for the subsidies? So in my mind, I'm thinking, like, this is how this should be framed. This is a grift. This isn't about immigration, because on top of what they're doing with this mass deportation, there's no immigration policy being discussed. The DACA kids, they aren't being discussed. What's going to happen to them? They're catching. Remember, this was sold on getting the worst of the worst, the criminals out. There aren't that many criminals, and I'm just going to take to my first video. Hold tight. I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to be right back, and we'll talk about, I don't know why I'm stuck on this from. They're talking about the criminals. Like, they're going to get the criminals out, and the bad ones. And I'm going to roll this first video. I'm going to look at verse 2, and then I'm going to come back and talk about the last one.
How many ICE facilities are there, Pamela?
There are hundreds, and they're all over the country. And you may be living next to one, and you may not know it. They also use county jails, but they have a lot of private detention facilities, private companies that are making millions of dollars a year on incarcerating immigrants who have not committed any crimes. It's a civil offense, and they're being held there, and it's shocking. And hundreds of dollars on each person each night is being spent to keep them locked up.
So I want to understand that if you're a Republican and you want a smaller government, you're okay with spending $13 million a day on detaining people that were not committing crime. That's what I always say. They always want to hold up the pictures of, oh, this person was a murderer, this person, as if American citizens aren't murderers and rapists. Obviously, we're dealing with that right now with the White House and the elites. They're rapists and they're pedophiles. They're sexual traffickers. It's a whole ring. But you're worried about the little one guy, the immigrant base, so that you can pay them. The government is paying private companies to house these people. How is that benefiting the economy? It's not. It's not, because first of all, you're decreasing the amount of money coming in as taxes because they aren't working, because they were working, most of them. Right, that's what I'm saying. So they were supposed to be getting only undocumented workers. They're taking documented and undocumented, and they're calling everybody an illegal immigrant because the country's stupid. That's what I'm saying. They're playing us. That's what this idea probably came up at the night of sitting around with Jeffrey Epstein, and they said, you know what? That's some money sitting on the table we could get. We could get mass deportation. I know you want to talk about Stephen Miller being crazy and very xenophobic or a white supremacist, but there's money being made on this program, and if you look at what it looks like slavery. Next video.
More than 9 months into the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, roughly 220,000 people have been arrested by ICE agents. That number comes from new data shared by the University of California, Berkeley, as part of its deportation data project. It also found that nearly 75,000 people who were arrested have no criminal record.
So why are they being detained with no criminal record?
Looks into the Trump administration's aggressive efforts.
Why are we paying to detain these people? They have no criminal record. They could be working.
Correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us to break down.
Oh, they could be deported.
Julia, good morning. Always great to have you with us.
This is a deportation.
So the University of California got this information.
This is a deportation program, right?
Against ICE.
Right. This is supposed to be a mass deportation, right? But it seems to be turning into a mass detaining, mass concentration camp of people. That they're spending $187 a day on, feeding people very little food, no medicine, no air for however long. You know people are going to die. And so even when this is over, we still may have to deal with lawsuits and payouts and all other kind of atrocities, or, we're going to take a hit on the international stage because now we're killers. We're like doing the exact same thing as they did in Germany when Hitler. We're doing the exact same thing, but this time it is not about legal immigration. These people want money. That's all they want.
What else did it reveal about ICE's arrest so far this year? Yeah, they've been able to get a lot of this information that ICE stopped posting publicly. Every once in a while, we'll get a press release when they have something they want to tell us about.
There
maybe
wasn't
a
enough
high-profile person or someone with a criminal record they have arrested. But in general, it's been really hard to compile this data. So that's why this is important. Of those 75,000, they had no criminal record. But then there were also a third with pending criminal charges. They hadn't been convicted yet. So really a third of the 220,000 that were arrested between Inauguration Day and mid-October are convicted criminals. And this is despite the promise to go after the worst of the worst. It also shows us more about the demographics. 90% of those, roughly 90% of those arrested so far were male. The number one nationality arrested were Mexican, followed by other nationalities from Central America. We're able to get a better understanding that there are more people arrested around the ages between 25 and 45. And this is painting a more holistic picture about the people who have been targeted in these mass deportation operations. We should say just because they're arrested doesn't necessarily mean they're deported. In some cases, people may have a legal right to be here and they're released later.
So, you just said the Trump administration keeps insisting they're targeting only the worst criminals. The numbers appear to contradict that. What is the Department of Homeland Security saying or reacting to this new data?
They're not, responding to this. They did not send a statement to our story, and they haven't responded to the data that's been out there.
They can't respond. Just let them respond to.
Others have been picking up on this as well. But this does get to an underlying conflict that we're having when we are able to report on some people who are arrested who have committed serious crimes and were at large in the United States, but we're not able to get to the underlying problem here that a lot of people who are arrested don't have criminal records. And as President Trump himself said in a cabinet meeting last week, there are over 11,000 people who are in this country undocumented who do have homicide convictions who have still not been arrested. So that really makes us ask more questions about who they're targeting and why.
Spending all that time in
and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top
all that
stories
time,
on the NBC News
spending
app
all that time in Minneapolis just chasing down immigrants. Now, remember when they sold this plan to MAGA, who bought it? It wasn't just MAGA. It was a lot of just white bread Americans who are just upset now because they can't see past white. And they voted for a criminal. And what did they expect? Criminal activity? I know it's going to be criminal activity if you hang around criminals. I've hanged around criminals. They do criminal things all the time. You get to the point where you don't want to hang around them because you don't want to be involved with criminals. But the whole thing, when they sold this plan, this mass deportation plans, and they say the worst of the worst, and they asked for $190 billion, and they started buying $500 million worth of facilities, there wasn't going to be that much. That wasn't going to, where'd they get the numbers from in their head? Did they tell you, or did they say who they were going to deport? They said the criminals, the bad ones. That's why a lot of Latinos or Hispanics voted for Trump, because they want to get rid of the worst. But then there's not enough people. They're not going to make enough money off of him, right? Remember, this is about, they're making 13. If it's 70,000 in detention, they're building warehouses that can hold 80, 160, 200,000 people. And I think, for me, the rush is coming from the boy might not be doing good. If this, remember, the play is to stay. The play right now is to get the midterms, and the ball or the tool they're using to try to secure that the Congress doesn't flip is the SAVE Act. Hopefully don't pass. I don't know. We had one Democrat vote for Republicans to pass it in the House, but they could have passed it on their own. I guess it's from Texas. I posted about him on my Instagram. The one Democrat that voted for the SAVE Act, and the Democrats are holding the line right now on funding an additional $4 billion for ICE. I don't know why they need additional $4 billion. And ICE is getting ready to partially shut down. DHS is getting ready to partly shut down. ICE has their money. They can keep operating. And they'll probably just spread money around illegally, because they're not supposed to do that. The money's appropriated for one thing. They're supposed to use it for what it's appropriated for. So when did they already knew that they were going to not make the numbers needed to for their for-profit partners. So, and also at the same time, crime in America is coming down, right? So the for-profit prison industry is losing money. They need more people. They need crime to survive, right? And they want to promote as much. Remember, we had I don't know if y'all remember, but a judge was. I don't remember what state it was. A judge was convicted or locked up because he was sending kids to prison to getting kickbacks from the prisons. So there's an incentive for these for-profit prisons to find bodies, right? That sounds like slavery to me. To find bodies to make money off of, and it's always the taxpayers' money, right? You don't have health care. Because we're locking up people who should not be locked up, right? Who are living in hard conditions, but then the people that own these are public traded companies, so the stock market, people who own stock, the elites can keep living how they want to live, while these people are suffering. When they thought they were going to court one day, they were doing the right thing, but all of a sudden now they're in jail for who knows how long, right? And they're trying to get the people out. But now that some of the judges are like, yeah, leave them locked up, leave them detained, because I think a lot of judges are worried about jurisdiction. This problem is so big, it's across so many different jurisdictions, that the courts move slow because it's methodical and they want to make sure they do it correctly, because a higher court may overturn what they have tried to upheld or I don't know, get relief. Relief, is that the right word? Get relief for someone or the people that are being detained or for a civil charge, and they're being detained for months. I played the video last week of the Irish guy. And here's the thing too, right? There's white people in this country illegally too, or illegally. I shouldn't say that. Undocumented. I hate that word. You may cross the border illegally. That doesn't make you an illegal alien. That makes you an undocumented immigrant. And you need to either leave or apply for asylum, get yourself documented as soon as possible. Or if they have a right to deport you. That's just the system. I think. Yeah, that's just the system. I'm not going about anyone else's country uninvited to work, but I live in America. I'm privileged to live in this country. For now, I don't know how long that's going to be a privilege with the way it's going, because this country is taken for benefit. It's taken for granted the blessings that have been bestowed upon us by living in our diversity and growing the country correctly. Like all ships rise. When the tide rises, all the ships rise. It's the same thing. But for some reason, people allow themselves to be manipulated and used. If all you have is hate and grievances, somebody can definitely tap into that and manipulate you to do what they want you to do. Because this isn't benefiting any of us. I don't even know what people are talking about when they, post something about ICE and why you don't like ICE. I thank you, Trump, for ICE. And I'm like, what is your big deal about immigrants? What do you think is happening? What are they doing to you specifically? I would love to talk to someone on the MAGA side to understand. First, I want to know where they live at. Do they live around immigrants? And then I want to know why they're so gung-ho on just deporting every immigrant, and that's why they're constantly trying to get rid of countries' GPS status, temporary protected status. They're trying to get rid of the Haitians because they want bodies. They want bodies in detention centers, and the thing they do is if you're documented and you have a court date, you're going through a process, they grab you, detain you, that's $187 a night, as long as they can keep you in there. So they're going to slow walk you, getting out and getting, because you aren't supposed to be in there. They're denying people access to their lawyers and things like that. And then what happens is they make the money, and eventually they ask you, would you like to self-deport, or we're gonna hold you here until we're ordered to release you. So you could be in there for a long time, as long as they can, because the immigration courts are backed up. So you could just be in there for a long time, and they can't take you out. They can't automatically, because of probable cause. They can't just take you and throw you out of habeas corpus. They just can't just take you out of the country if they detain you, unless a judge, they tried it, right? They can't do it unless a judge says you give you a deportation order, or you voluntarily deport. So they're gonna put you in this stinky ass detainment center, not feed you properly, have you live in squalid conditions, hoping that they can make the money they need to make off you, and then you will self-deport. It's not helping the economy. It's not helping the economy. It's not helping us as a people, and it's not helping the economy. We're gonna pay a price. We're paying a price. It's just like, we're paying a price. So I'm gonna play this last video. It's a long one, but it's from CNN. It's going to really dive into the whole for-profit setup and how it's going. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's like 13 minutes. I'm going to play like the first part of it and encourage you to really look into this, look into how we are being played and grifted. That, like I say, that $190 billion could have gone to healthcare or education, infrastructure, but right now it's just being used to make other people rich while putting other people in a harsh environment to make a few xenophobic Americans feel better. Yeah, that's another thing. Fox, they lie. They tell us these people are getting health care. The housing crisis was caused by immigrants. If they can buy a house, that means they were working, right? Or they're getting like, you come in the country undocumented. Oh, we're like, hey, welcome, come on in. This is literally the thing about a sanctuary city. Come on in. Here's a house. Here's some money. Here's some aid. Here's some health care. That's not how it's done. And then unless we have people seriously debunking the Fox myth, or people can break from the Fox bubble, we're going to keep continuing to have this happen over and over again, because what we really need is an immigration policy, not a mass deportation policy.
Have you seen these massive warehouses ICE is reportedly trying to buy and then detain
That looks like a
maybe
Amazon
you've also
fulfillment
seen
center.
that some of those deals are falling apart because companies don't want to be associated with or potentially profit from mass deportation. But there are plenty of companies that already have billions of dollars in contracts with the Department of Homeland Security. Call it the deportation industrial complex or just regular old government procurement. Either way, they stand to gain from the most money ever put towards deporting migrants, with potentially more money to come. But between redacted contracts, private charter flights, and layers of subcontractors, it's not easy to figure out where all that money is going. So here's the big ticket ways your tax dollars are being spent on mass deportation, and a few of the biggest companies cashing in. I'm going to focus on two areas: detention and transportation. Why? Because other than paying and equipping federal agents, those are the biggest costs. Let's start with detention.
We know he's spending the money on
DHS is
agents.
detaining
Agents,
a
that's
record
the
number of
lowest.
people. According to DHS's most recent numbers, it costs around $187
That's where I got the figure
to
from.
detain one adult for one day.
187.
And even
That's
though
in
most
2023,
people
so it's
detained
probably
by
gone up.
DHS haven't been convicted of a crime, many are housed in facilities that were, or still are, prisons. Most recent estimates find a vast majority of immigration detainees are held in facilities run or owned by private prison companies. The Geo Group and Core Civic are the two biggest.
Hold
and
right
guess
there.
what?
So those were the
They
two
are
companies.
public
Those are the two companies
So
in the first graphic I showed you. Those are the two companies that were complaining about ICE not detaining enough immigrants, right? So when you see a push, we're led to believe that this is all being done by or pushed by Stephen Miller because of his white supremacy, xenophobic views. That's not it. It's also a profit motive being pushed, and there's obligations to get as much money as possible, and now probably as quick as possible because they may lose control of the legislative branch.
Obligated to tell their shareholders at least some information about how they make profits. And they're not exactly shy about how mass deportation boosts their bottom line. Here's CoreCivic's CEO.
Our business is perfectly aligned with the demands of this moment.
And here's the Geo Group CFO giving a little bit more detail about their profit margins.
Our facilities designed to enhance.
Okay, see these two guys, right? Remember these two faces. These are the two guys that are housing the immigrants and having them live in squalid conditions, and they're not getting enough food, and they're not getting enough medicine, and they're dying and under suspicious circumstances. These are the gentlemen who are making a killing off of detaining immigrants, documented and undocumented. Because I don't know the number. When they were saying mass deportation, they were saying the worst of the worst. Did they put a number on that? How did they know they would need so much space and room and facilities? They cannot maintain 3,000 people a day. And they're all quote unquote illegal or undocumented. They're going to have to cut into people that are here and been here for a long time, and they're documented, and they're going through the process, trying to get citizenship, and then they're going to go after people who were recently naturalized and try to pull naturalized pull that citizenship back, because the only thing they care about is money. These gentlemen, they're ready to make that money.
The delivery of these programs. During the second quarter of 2025,
He's talking about all facilities the Geo Group owns, immigration and otherwise. Like Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey. It reopened in early 2025 after signing a 15-year, $1 billion contract with DHS.
It's an exceptionally long contract.
15
really
years,
typically range from about 1.5
billion.
That is very worrisome because this spans technically 4 presidential administrations.
What's the problem with a company like CoreCivic or Geo Group being the beneficiary of this policy?
Can they break that contract?
Transparency and oversight. So when journalists,
Can we break that contract?
Advocates do see these contracts, if they FOIA them, a lot of the contract data is actually redacted.
Okay, so what's FOIA? It's an acronym for the Freedom of Information Act, a law that allows anyone the right to get records from executive branch agencies. Here's a contract between ICE and the Geo Group the ACLU FOIA'd. All terms and pricing amounts are redacted. See? What's the justification for redacting so much?
The companies will say that their firms, they have trade secrets.
Trade secrets?
When they bid for these contracts, it's a competitive bidding process, and they might not want to reveal their staff ratios, how they make a profit.
Now, federal agencies don't always have to hold competitive processes. Federal law lets them give out no-bid contracts in special circumstances. But according to government watchdogs, no-bid contracts can be a problem, because folks in charge of where the money goes could potentially steer those funds to whomever they want. You know who this guy is, right?
Remember, he got caught taking a $50,000 bribe to steer money their way. This is his cash cow.
In his ethics disclosure, he said he was a consultant for the Geo Group from 2023 to 2025.
This is his cash cow.
They also claimed that after he joined the second Trump administration, he played a key role in hiring this man, David Venturella, a former Geo Group executive. Now he manages contracts for immigrant detention centers for DHS. House Democrats wrote they were concerned that Homan is uniquely positioned to help your former business client reap a huge windfall. Now, because Homan works for the White House and Venturella for DHS, we reached out to both about the House Democrats' letter. The White House contested the allegation, writing Homan continues to adhere to the federal ethics and conflicts of interest rules, and that he has no involvement in the actual awarding of a government contract. DHS responded that Venturella complied with all ethics requirements. They told us Venturella's former employment at the Geo Group triggered a 1-year restriction from doing certain work with the company, but that ICE leadership granted him authorization for some work to meet the critical needs of the agency.
There's a revolving door, which is typical with any industry, the defense industry, and you will see people on the board of directors of both companies or in leadership that have served in federal administrations.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about transportation, and specifically air travel. DHS calls it
stop right
ICE
there.
air
So you can look at it. If you want to look up these videos, if you do a search on YouTube for mass deportation money, a slew of these videos will pop up, and then you'll be understand, and you'll see what I'm saying, and you'll see how whatever they're saying or talking about doing, this is the grift. You know what I'm saying? This is the public grift. We already know the regime is making money on the side, hand over fist, with cryptocurrency. The tariffs, putting tariffs on, taking tariffs off. Spiking, the stock market going up and down. They make money off that. They make money off deals for chips. It's out in the open, and this is the one where they have convinced MAGA that it's in their best interest to fund this mass deportation. My number 187. I got it from here. I forgot where I got it from. Per person per day, 13 million. That's got to be higher. Especially as how are they going to get enough people to fill those warehouses? Where are those people going to come from? I don't even have no idea where they're going to come from and how it's going to look when you start housing that many people. And then we're going to go into the transportation part of it. But that's part of the planes. They're buying planes. They're having companies that are buying planes to handle the logistics for the deportation flights. They're set up for this little crew, a little group of people to make a lot of money off of mass deportation, but it's not to make our communities safe at all, because our communities aren't safer with ICE running through them, and the people that they're taking out aren't the people that are causing any type of issues in our communities. So welcome to the grift. That's it for me today. All right, so I'm gonna go play some go-go and I'm out of here. It's gonna be like one battle after another. You know what I mean? Like right now, everyone's focused on the Epstein, file as they should. Those women need justice, and that whole thing needs to come out. And anybody that was involved in that needs to go to jail, if not worse. It's happening in other countries, not happening here, because we know we don't have a DOJ. That's one thing I know that when I woke up the night after the election and he won, and then I saw that the House and the Senate were under the Republicans, I was like, they got everything. It's gonna be a nightmare, and it's a nightmare. We don't get any relief, not one day. I think that that's why I do this. I think that we need to be looking at all the pieces, because so much is going on every day, and not actually keeping our eye on what's happening and focus on what's important, because a lot of this stuff is not important. All this numbers about tariffs and jobs, that's all lies. That's all lies. We're either in a recession or about to go in a recession. There's nothing good about the economy, and it's not going to be anything good about the economy until we get these people out of office. This regime has to go. So I'm going to go ahead and play some go-go. So I'm from DC. I'm from Maryland. I'm sorry, I'm not from DC. I'm from DMV. And we grew up listening to go-go. I always wanted to. People, can you actually like go-go if you've never been to a go? I think it's something you have to experience. And so this is I'm gonna go ahead and shout this band out. This is a band that I never heard of. This band was after I left the area, and after I came back, and this band is called the Vibe Band. And right now they're in the pocket, right? That's something that we always talk about. Like the music goes, and then they'll play a song, and then they'll put it in the pocket for a while and just groove. And the go-go is something you have to experience, and it's not like going to the club. Everybody's dancing. There's no bottle, tables, VIP service. Everybody's dancing, having a good time. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace. Remember, keep your eyes open. Look at what they're telling you. Look at how they're framing the story, because maybe they're not trying to show you everything, especially on the mainstream media. I'm out. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Peace. And remember, keep fighting one battle after the next one, and we're gonna get to where we need to be. How can you not like this music?